right, let's jump into it, guys.
For generations, the path to building wealth went straight through home ownership, but millions of young Americans are skipping the door, the white picket fence, the new fancy kitchen, and are pouring their future into the bull market instead. Retail trading has doubled since 2010. 1 in 3 25-year-olds now has an investment account. That is 6 times more than a decade ago. Charles Schwab says the 2020 meme stock craze sparked a generational shift, but warns this group has never had to grind through a drawn-out bear market. They're the stocks only go up generation. Taylor, I don't know about that.
I agree with you.
Is it speculation and gambling, or is it just socking money away and straight up investing?
I think the second, and I think to sell that generation short and to say it's the stocks only go up generation isn't giving them the credit that they deserve. I think that just the way we were all bond traders on the floor in the first rate hike after, ZIRP and NERP, everyone thought, oh my gosh, this is the first generation of bond traders who've never witnessed a rate hike. We got through it, we all will, right? So I think that sells them a little bit short, and I like this idea, but Jackie and I have gone back and forth on this, so I want you to weigh in. I like that we are more invested in the stock market. We just talked about the benefits of compound interest. We've talked about building generational wealth, being able to give my daughter, here was an Apple equity stock bond or whatever that I bought for you. Here it is 18 years later, whatever that may be.
Okay.
My concern is if we are building a generation of renters instead of owners.
Yes, we are.
And if I want an owner economy, I am much more invested in my community, in my property taxes,
That's valid.
and where my money is going.
That's
There is
valid.
dignity
Super valid.
in ownership. So if I'm now building up a generation of renters, will they really clean that fridge as much as they would if they were an owner? What does that mean? What does that mean for the community? Do they respect the building and take care of it as they otherwise would if they owned it? Do they care about if property taxes go up as much if they were a real owner? Those are some of my worries.
Okay, but they can't though, right? I mean, I just wanted to make sure I kind of saw where we were going here. It makes all the sense in the world. She's right here. Let's truth be told here. Like if every single person inside of the subdivision specifically is renting the property, do they actually care that that the price of property taxes are shooting up? Do they care about the actual local environment? No, they don't. Not really, because they have no actual like interest in it. Most of their interest is based in specifically the stock market, which makes sense because they can't afford to buy the house, right? So like back when people were doom spending, specifically during the 2019, 2020 crisis, let's just say this year, they were saving up money while and then immediately jumping into doom spending because they realized that the price of all these assets have shot up to the point where they can no longer afford any of the assets they were actually saving for, right? So what do they do here? If the real estate market via BlackRock and all these other, organizations are basically buying everything up, where are they going to store their money? They want to be able to afford to retire, right? They cannot afford to put a down payment down on a piece of property, so they're going to put money into some type of ETF or some type of stock that makes sense for them exclusively. Yes, the stock market a lot of it is booming because Gen Z and like younger and older millennials are dumping money exclusively into the stock market. They're buying, which then in return is shooting up their overall portfolios. It makes sense here. Right? They cannot purchase a house because they're not making enough money to qualify with the underwriter to actually purchase the house. That's what's going on here, guys. It's okay, right? Because everyone wants to basically live in some gigantic city. And if you want to live in a gigantic city, you're going to have to worry about the concept of supply and demand. And that obviously is bringing up all the asset prices. Guys, they can't afford it.
I don't see this as an either or.
it's easier to
that
get into the
homes
stock
got
market than buy a
expensive,
house.
So you sock money away in the stock market.
Well, and I love all the points you
Yes.
made because I think diversification is so incredibly important. But I think this younger generation, to your point, we should give them credit because I remember when I was younger, I didn't have the tools necessary to be able to invest in the market. It was scary to me. And I remember, and I'm going to age myself here, but like watching Maria, right, on Fox Business, and I remember looking up to her, and she was my only resource to learning about the market then, which is why I then studied international finance and marketing. But it wasn't something that I learned in high school. And now at a very young age, my son's 8, I'm teaching him about interest. So you have a little piggy bank, let's put this
Compounding
money in.
interest.
It's interesting because he's like, well, how much interest am I going to earn? And I'm like, well, this is how much you're going to have at the end of the year. He's like, that's nothing. So it's, you know, there's also a reality check when they don't have enough money.
He wants those
to
crypto
invest.
returns. Come
He's
on,
like, well, when is the
interest,
tooth
that's
fairy coming
boring.
again? But I think to your point too is home ownership. There's so much pride in your community, but property taxes and insurance, something has to be done about those. And on that point, I had a conversation with the CFO of Florida, Blaze.
Florida,
and
of
Florida,
course.
I think, is going to be the leader in this right now because they're
Let's hear
looking to
this.
eliminate property taxes, which is going to be on the ballot November 2026 for homestead. And then after that,
Homesteads.
my question was, well, what's going to happen to those of us that have a home that we couldn't sell because the market plummeted, and now our property taxes have skyrocketed because we lost our homestead? Like I have one property taxes went from $18,000 to $40,000 a year. So the and my insurance went from 18 to 25. So I have no.
I mean, bro, the insurance makes all the sense in the world because based off of the overall natural disasters that keep happening in Florida, like a lot of these insurance companies started pulling out of Florida, meaning that if you owned a house in Florida, how are you actually going to insure the property from these natural disasters, right? Like that's what's going on specifically in Florida. So I'm surprised. Like she even has insurance on that house.
Choice but to increase the rent on the tenant, which I haven't done yet because I'm a good person. But ultimately I'm going to have to, right, or sell that property. And he says, yes, that's something that we're looking into for the next year because we don't want to confuse people on the ballot. So I think if property taxes and insurance reform happens, then the younger generation is going to have more opportunity to enter the market. I think one of the reasons that they're actually investing in stocks is because there's less barriers to entry.
Because
that's exactly why
what
they're
happened was
doing
the
it.
generation before them thought that the only thing that could happen if you invested in a home was that you would see your net worth go up. And so that generation got sucked into that. We already saw one housing bubble, however, which I'm concerned about because it was bought up, lapped up, after that even more, bringing the prices as high as they are now. So you've got this generation saying, okay, I can't do it in the home market anymore the way the previous generation did. I'm going to do it in the stock market. And again, I think this leads to bubbles that can be particularly problematic. We were talking earlier about universal basic income with respect to the Dell investment and these savings accounts for children, that's basically what it boils down to. So I have to ask myself, what is happening here? What's happening here is you've got an administration that realizes, because of some of these socialists that are coming into power, that they need to do something about this affordability. They need to give more to keep people in a lower financial positions and socioeconomic status happy. Because what ends up happening when those people don't feel like they have enough or affordability is crushing them, ultimately,
Socialism
they will want
pops
to
up,
overthrow the
large
system
scale,
completely and throw the baby out with the bathwater. So
Eat
you
the
asked
rich.
me what was happening with Dell and what Trump is doing here. That's what I think they're trying to do. We certainly know, Republicans aren't for universal basic income. They're not for more entitlements. But you ask yourself why it's happening. I think that is why it's happening. I also think it's dangerous for these asset bubbles that are building.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is people have to have a stake in.
I don't know who this person is, but listen to her, bro. Right here in the yellow, or whatever color, camel, right? Listen to her. She is right.
Something that they can defend, right?
Like about
because
everything that
if they don't
she
have a
said.
stake in
No
something
emotions.
They can defend, then they become dependent on somebody else. I don't really, like, if it's stocks, if you're investing, that's great. If it's a house, that's great too. But I do kind of err on the side of houses just a little bit, because I feel like you learn independence in life when you have your own place in the world. You care more about governance when you've got a place in a community. You care more about taxes. You care more about safety. You care more about all these things because you have a little space in the world that you're trying to improve. And I get nervous about telling people they have an affordability crisis so that they say, I'm going to give up on owning a home. I can't afford anything, and so I give up. I actually see a little insidious bit of that creeping into the affordability crisis from the left. Like, you can't afford anything, so don't even try.
But you don't want to encourage. I am psyched that people made the decision to put money in an investment account rather than make a commitment to a $500,000 overpriced box with $400,000 of borrowed money that you're paying 7% interest on, because you don't have a path out of that. You're stuck. You're stuck. If that price falls, you're stuck for 10 years. There's no path out of that. It's not like that with stocks.
If you're doing stocks, I'm with you historically.
No, I'm saying, if you just borrowed money from mommy and daddy for a down payment and borrowed $400,000.
What do you mean? Wait, what are you talking about? Borrow money from mommy and daddy? Like, don't get me wrong here. I think that does happen sometimes, but you're going to have to get very lucky with that underwriter, because generally the underwriter wants to know exactly where even the down payment is coming from. So, and this is why whenever I purchase houses or properties, I never go through a bank ever under any circumstances. I don't mess with banks at all. Not when it comes down to that, because that underwriter is a wild experience. So they want to know, are you being gifted this money? That means that you technically can't afford the property you're in. So why would I specifically do this if I know you're going to default on this? Right? I think that's kind of what ends up happening, guys.
To buy an overpriced box
depends on where you are, though.
You're
I guess
stuck there for a decade.
I think you need to budget accordingly. I remember when I was in college, home ownership was part of the American dream for me.
Yeah,
and
that was like
how most people
1960,
have
though.
accumulated generational wealth.
But if you need to move, you ain't moving if you're underwater.
No, that's why you need to rent, which is then the taxes go up, and then you're in the scenario that I explained earlier. So something has to be done about property taxes. And
okay, we're back to property taxes, guys. I think she's speaking directly, specifically from a Florida standpoint. Not everyone lives in Florida. Not the entirety of Gen Z lives in Florida. They live in other places. Their experiences are generally different when it comes to property taxes. Listen, there are ways to actually purchase property specifically, even if you're going through a bank, but it's generally not going to be in a place that you want to be in, right? Like, and that's kind of what ends up happening, I think, right? Like, if you're making like 70, what can you probably get? Like maybe 220, 250 or something like that in terms of the loan at the current interest rate. So you're not living in a place where you actually want to be like that. You're not living in a place that looks good on social media. You have to understand, this is a social media generation. They want things as fast as humanly possible. This is basically why they're pushing crypto so much. But I think that's kind of what's going on now, guys. It is what it is here. I don't blame them. I finally think the Gen Z is doing something good for themselves, right? Is it going to be to the detriment of communities? It will be. It is. Because again, if no one owns anything, then why would they actually truthfully care about what's going on? Because the only people paying property taxes are going to be gigantic corporations who own thousands and thousands of houses, right? That's kind of the vibe. That's the vibe I'm getting here. But you can definitely live in, like, how about this here? Memphis, Tennessee, right? There are houses that are like $30,000 there, right? In Detroit, there are houses that are like $20,000, right? You understand what I'm saying here? No one wants to live in these places, bro. No one. It doesn't look shiny, right? It doesn't look really cool and amazing, specifically on social media. So they're choosing to do what makes sense to them. Right? Like, do what their favorite influencers is basically promoting, because they're making money, right? Rather than doing the old way of things. Listen, everything changes, right? At one time, we were a coal nation. We're no longer that large scale, right? Everything changes. The old ways of making money and creating some type of, like, generational wealth is no longer 100% based within the prospects of owning land or property. That's just kind of where we are right now. I don't blame them for this here, truthfully, right? I get it. It's not reasonable anymore. Specifically going to a bank, it's not reasonable. Yeah, property tax in California is crazy. Even the fact that, even if you go over like $1 million or something like that on the property, they tax you more or something crazy. I don't know, bro. Listen, I stay far away from California. I don't really partake in California politics, unfortunately, or fortunately, right? So I know their taxes are crazy for nothing, right? Like a wealth tax and things like that. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies, and I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry. Right? Listen, like and subscribe.